If there's one watch that really was the gateway drug for me entering the horological sphere, it would be the Seiko SKX 007. This is the one that really kicked off my watch collecting career, and it's a watch that I am forever grateful to. It really did open that can of worms, and I guess you could say this was truly the entryway for many other watch enthusiasts. So you could imagine how angry I got when Seiko discontinued this and gave us a neutered version with the 5KX. Now, this is not the one-to-one copy 5KX that I initially was complaining about, but it's part of a similar series. This is a 5KX, but it's under their street style line. More specifically, this is the SRP E69, and we're gonna go over the similarities and differences between these two watches, but I'm wondering if I was a bit too harsh on the Seiko 5s. We're gonna find out today. It is 2:31 p.m. Let's get down to business. Okay, so we're gonna start off by taking a look at the SKX first, because after all, this did come before the 5KX in question. So when it comes to the watch that got everyone I know into the hobby, this is pretty much it, myself included. This was a very, very functional, capable watch that was a true spec monster for its time, right? Like, it doesn't have a sapphire crystal, but it does have hard Lex. It has incredible lume. It has an ISO rated case, threaded crown with a 200-meter water resistance rating, a great movement, if not somewhat controversial, we're gonna talk about that in a moment, a functional timing bezel that won't back out on you, and just some very iconic styling with the 4 o'clock crown. Very, very Seiko in design. So why do I say that this watch has a controversial movement? Well, that 7S26 movement, as durable as it is, as reliable as it is, as accurate enough as it is, doesn't have hacking or hand wind. And when I first entered the YouTube space back around 2017, that was pretty much the number one thing people would complain about. The SKX isn't that good, it doesn't have hacking or hand wind. I never thought that was that big of a deal, because you could just wear it and take advantage of the power reserve and you'd be fine. But if you do have a ton of watches, then you'd have to keep this on a winder, or you'd have to throw it on the wrist for a few hours each day. Either way, I did not think it was that big of a deal. We've mentioned the Lumibrite lume, incredible lume on this watch. 42.5 by 46 millimeters, 13.25 millimeters thick. And guys, there was a worn and wound review on this watch from 2015, and the listed price was 150 buckaroos. So, whole lot of watch for that $150. Then they discontinued this and gave us something like this. All right, when they discontinued the SKX 007, they didn't immediately come out with the street style variant of the 5KXs. This came out, I think a year after the initial drop, but this is a 5KX for all intents and purposes. We're gonna jump into the specs and talk about everything. So right off the bat, this is a bit smaller than the Seiko SKX 007, pretty much in all metrics. So the diameter is 40 millimeters on the button, but the lug to lug is 44.6, so that's also smaller, and it's thinner at 11.5 millimeters. This also has a hard Lex crystal. It has a 20 millimeter lug width. This has the 4R36 movement, so it is sporting a hacking movement with hand wind capabilities. And speaking of that crown that you would use to wind it, notice I'm not having to thread it, I'm just winding it. So this has a push-pull crown. No ISO rating, 100-meter water resistance rating. When the 5KXs first dropped, they were listed as dive style watches. You'll notice they removed the timing bezel from this variant. This is the street style line, so this is kind of more of your everyday piece. This is totally, I guess the youngins would say, murdered out, because everything's black. This is stainless steel with a hard coating is what it's listed on the Seiko website. Matte black dial, matte black indexes, color matched date. Even the loom on the handset is matte black. You're getting drilled lugs. I gotta say, when we get up close, the watch looks great. I really do like how it's murdered out. I like how everything's matte black, different tones of black and slate. I think it's a very linear design. So one really cool thing is we got this watch complete with the hang tag, so suggested retail price $315. Even has the movement listing here, the 4R36. And you know, you do see some similarities between these two watches. And again, this is the street style variant. Case shape, very similar. The SKX 007 definitely looks larger because it is. I think it's also probably looking larger because this is straight up stainless steel, whereas this has a black coating, so black is a bit slimming. But, you know, I think that they are similar in case shape. You can't deny that one came from the other. We're gonna go ahead and put this 5KX on the wrist, and I'll tell you what I think. All right, so for the first time ever, I'm wearing a Seiko 5KX. Again, the street style variant. And it is pretty sleek and it does lay pretty flat on the wrist. It does not feel cumbersome whatsoever. There's a whole lot to like from a visual standpoint. I think, again, the design language is very cohesive. I like the matte black look. Everything's very stealthy and impressive as far as how it feels. The fit and finish is fine. I do like the drilled lugs. And this is actually a factory Seiko, I don't know if we're allowed to say nylon NATO strap. I don't know what I'm allowed to say. It's a factory Seiko strap, and it's actually pretty dang good. And it is large enough to accommodate my wrists with the excess material being able to be, you know, tucked back into the keepers without it having just an awkward amount that won't tuck back that I have to cut, yada, yada, yada. This is perfectly fine. But the negatives still stand, all right? I don't like that they took away a watch that is so much for the money. 150 bucks got you an ISO rated diver, 200 meter water resistance rating with a threaded crown. And they gave us just kind of, you know, an everyday watch, I guess. I mean, 100 meter water resistance rating is fine. But if you're gonna wear a Seiko watch with a 4 o'clock crown like this, and it's going to be modeled after the SKX, just wear the freaking SKX. I don't know. I'm a purist. I do like how this one looks. I like that they color matched pretty much everything, and there's nothing mechanically wrong with the watch. I just think I am so in love and enamored by the watch that got me into the hobby, this Seiko SKX 007, that it's very hard for me to pick this one over that. So for that reason, I'm obviously going to stick with my SKX 007. Now, if you're someone that sees this watch, this 5KX, and absolutely loves it, well, you're in luck, because this watch is the Time Teller Shop's watch. We are selling this right now, and the suggested retail price for this, complete with hang tag, is $315. We're gonna go ahead and sell it to you for 200 bucks. 200 bucks even just gets you this watch. And it is fine, in great condition. Nothing's wrong with it. It's not like this was an offensive watch to look at. It's just not the SKX 007. When we take it off this factory strap, we see that 4R movement. Let's get up close so that the macro lens wants to focus. We see that 4R movement. It's a fine movement, accurate. It's cool that it has a display case back. If they gave this thing, if they kept, okay, here's what I'd say. If this thing didn't have the ISO rating and it had the 100 meter water resistance rating instead of the 200, but they gave it a threaded crown, I'd be happy. I'd still complain that they neutered an SKX, but I'd still be happy. The fact that, like, it doesn't have the ISO rating, it doesn't have a threaded crown, has 50% of the water resistance rating that you got with the SKX 007. I'm just not cool with it, man. So I am essentially giving this one away. People ask a lot more for this watch, but selling it to you guys for 200 bucks. Click a link in the description below. Check it out, excuse me, at the Time Teller shop, and you can have it, because I don't want it. So there you have it, guys. I don't know if I can say I was wrong about the Seiko 5KXs. I mean, they're definitely not total garbage as far as how they feel, how they work, how they operate, how they've been manufactured. But I can say there's no way I would choose one of those over my SKX 007, and I'd still prefer my 007 hands down. Let me know what you think. I'm sure some of you absolutely love these 5KXs, and that's perfectly fine. Sound off in the comment section. I learned from you just as much as you learned from me, and we will continue the conversation over there. All right, guys, I will catch you on the next one. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay blessed. I'm Jory Goodman, the Time Teller, and always remember, I didn't invent time. I just tell it.